Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils. We are live and truly global today as we are joined by John in New York and Barry in South Africa. Welcome. How are you doing, lads?
Hello, Steve. Good. All good.
Awesome. Everyone up bright and early, or mid-afternoon, or whatever it is, wherever you are watching us. So the first thing that we need to talk about today is everybody is missing. We're missing Zlatan, we're missing Herrera, we're very likely to be missing Pogba. John, tell me what this means for our chances of getting 3 points on Sunday against Middlesbrough.
It's not going to look pretty. Obviously, Manchester United have been reliant upon Zlatan Ibrahimovic for the goals. We've been looking for solidarity in midfield from Ander Herrera and Paul Pogba. It's going to be difficult, but I still do truly believe Manchester United have the squad depth to be able to grind out a result. I mean, if you're looking at the bench, if you're looking at the options here, we still have the likes of Fellaini, Carrick in midfield. Fellaini hasn't been bad for us at all this season. And going forward, we have great options. We're still looking at Rashford. We're still looking at Martial, who looks likely to come back with this game. We have Mkhitaryan available. We have Mata that's available. You know, we have squad depth, and I think we have the potential to get a result against a side that's been struggling to get goals this season, leaky in defense. So, yeah, I think we do have what it takes.
Jose mentioned in the press conference after the Rostov game that he's got loads of players that are tired, but he's also got a load of players that haven't had many minutes, Luke Shaw being one of them, Fosu Mensah, someone who's part of the squad. Why he's not getting games, I'm not sure. Barry, what do you think he needs to be doing? Does he need to be looking to the rest of the squad, or do you think the 11 that he's been pretty much consistently putting out is able to keep going at this rate? Obviously, there's going to be changes this weekend with the bans, but what do you think?
Yeah, I think the changes that have been forced upon us in some respects are not too bad. I think that some of these players need a rest. The squad is plenty good enough to deal with the likes of Middlesbrough. And as John alluded to, we've got strength in depth and gives opportunity to some players. So I think freshening up the squad is not a bad idea. My biggest concern, of course, on Sunday is that every time Man United are in town, it's a cup final for the opposition. Middlesbrough will be up for it, especially in view of the fact that they've shelved their manager. So they'll be looking out to impress. So I expect a tough game, but I expect United to win on Sunday.
So we had that down as one of the topics to talk about anyway. Karanka has been sacked by Middlesbrough. How do you think this is going to affect the result on Sunday? How do you think it's going to affect their preparation and our preparation?
I think it's going to make them more determined and more focused for Sunday. I think possibly some of them have been in a bit of a comfort zone being selected on a regular basis. So they've got to be out to prove themselves, and who better to prove it against than United? A couple of United old boys, of course, in the Middlesbrough team, so they'll be out to do well. And they'll be fired up for the game, no question about it, which is why I don't think it's a bad idea that we've got a few lads playing that haven't been playing regularly.
John, we're facing a team that sacked the manager. This seems to happen every single time someone's about to face Manchester United. We always end up with the team that's recently sacked the manager. We saw what happened with Leicester when they just completely sprung back to what we saw with them last year. Are you expecting anything like that of Middlesbrough, or do you think they're in the position they are because that's the level they are?
As we approach every season, as we approach the end of the season, you see a lot of teams that are facing relegation, that are fighting for to stay up in the Premier League. They start going haywire. They start going ballistic in terms of their style of approach. It looks as if they have a little bit of screws, a little bit loosened up to. They just run like headless chickens, but at the same time they fight for their points, whether that's a win or a draw, whatever it is. They fight till the death, and it's a bit of a frenzy in that aspect. And I think it's unfortunate that every time we had a chance to play against a team, it's just so bizarre that they end up sacking their manager and they're ready to go fired up. And I think that has the potential to play a huge role in terms of them trying to get a result. Karanka's been at Middlesbrough for 3 years. He hasn't been able to get the results that he wanted this year, obviously being sacked. But now the players have something to prove. It's the same season, the same story with Leicester City. You saw that as soon as Ranieri was sacked. You see them getting results now. Obviously, they're into the quarterfinals of the Champions League, things of that nature. Players are spurned and players are driven not only in terms of their self-determination, but they have now a point to prove. And I think Barry made a good point there. They have a point to prove. They want to make sure that they say their best to stay up in the top flight. And I think it's going to be a difficult game for us.
Right, on the teams at the bottom fighting for their lives thing, I'm a nerd, right, and I love stats. So a couple of seasons ago, I did an analysis of the previous 6 seasons and took the top 4, the middle 4, 8th to 11th, and then the bottom 4, and seen what the average points per game was for them over the course of a season, and then what the average points per game was for them in their final 6 matches of a season. The bottom 4 actually get less points per game in the final 6 matches than they do over the rest of the season. So the relegation teams battling for their life is a myth, and people say, I'd rather face the team in the middle because they've got nothing to play for. They're the ones that actually outperform. The teams at the top, they actually get less points in their final games. I don't know if that's because of the pressure of, are you about to maybe win the league or get into the top 4? They average less points per game in their final 6 matches than they do over the previous 32. And the middle third is the only ones that actually average more points per game over the course of the final 6 games than they do over the rest of the season. So I think that's fairly interesting. So I'm not sure that that myth holds up, to be honest, but I guess we're going to find out against Middlesbrough as we face them on Sunday. So the starting 11s then. I'm going to come to you, Barry, first. Give us your starting 11 for this weekend's game against Middlesbrough.
Right. My starting 11, one thing I was uncertain of is whether a guy like Martial is back from injury. So I've kept him out the side. My starting 11, I've got David De Gea in goals. I've got us playing in a kind of 4-3-3 formation with Tony Valencia on the right back, Luke Shaw left back, and Eric Bailly and Phil Jones as the centre backs. I chose them as the centre backs because they've had relatively less game time than Smalling and Rojo in recent times. Midfield, obviously, without Pogba and without Herrera. So I think that Fellaini will slot in for Pogba. I've got Carrick and Lingard starting in midfield as well. And up front, I've got Ashley Young, Marcus Rashford and Henrik Mkhitaryan. But saying that I've got Ashley Young up front, when Ashley Young's in the team, I'm not sure where he plays because he moves backwards as well and he kind of doubles up as a fullback. So we could see Ashley Young playing at left back and we could see Anthony Martial starting up front if he's fit.
John, give us your starting 11, please.
I went for a back 4 this time. I think Jose Mourinho is going to want to convert back to a back 4. I'm going to go David De Gea in goal. I have Marcus Rojo, Tony Valencia as the fullbacks. I only went for Rojo in the sense that I'm not really too sure in terms of our central defensive options, and I need the points here to stay up on top of the starting 11 leaderboards. So I'm going to go for Rojo. I have Chris Smalling and Eric Bailly in the central defensive partnership, and I went for a 4-2-3-1. I got Fellaini and Carrick in the holding midfield. Obviously, Fellaini probably sitting a little bit more ahead in terms of the third. And I have Martial on the left, Mkhitaryan down the middle, Mata on the right, with Marcus Rashford up top.
There's a couple of people in the comments here, Shane Long saying Carrick and Marshall must start. I've seen a couple of people mentioning Timothy Fosu-Mensah, HBE421 is one of them, saying that he should start. He's got Fellaini up front though, I think in that. I don't know why we need Fellaini up front. We still have Rashford, we still have Martial, we still have potentially Mkhitaryan who could play up front. Shaw still can't get in, says some people. I'd play Rojo and Jones at centre-half. Now, this is something we was thinking about. With with Rojo looking so rough and needing the banana against Rostov, do you think there's much chance that he's going to be rested for this weekend? Do you think that he needs an extended period out of the side, maybe? What do you guys think on that?
I'll touch up on that. I wanted to discuss this on Twitter yesterday about the whole spiel with the banana, and you can't. And the thing with Jose Mourinho is he's so clever and he loves to play mind games with these people. And whether or not Marcus Rojo literally requested a banana, or whether or not the nutritionist really recommended that Marcus Rojo take down a banana mid-match, nobody knows. But there's also a side there where you can look at it and think, perhaps Jose Mourinho wanted to prove a point to the media. Look, these games have been crap. The selection of games. We had Chelsea on Monday. We had Rostov on Thursday. We had another game. It was just all over the place in terms of the scheduling. And I think Jose Mourinho, once again in the post-match conference, he came out and said, look, we have a lot of enemies. And what I did not understand was Michael Owen coming out and say, I have no idea who Jose Mourinho is talking about in terms of enemies. And you know damn well what Jose Mourinho is referring to. there's obviously seems like something is going wrong in terms of the way United have been getting their games. And Marcus Rojo, the banana thing could have been a whole thing where Jose Mourinho said, look, we're going to try to get our point across. Marcus Rojo, you're going to take a banana down. Or he could have been in the locker room and be like, all right, which one of you guys? We need one of you guys to take a banana down mid-match. Who's ready to do it? Marcus Rojo is probably raising his hands up. He's like, boss, I got it, bro. I'll take that thing down. Who knows? It might have been something of that nature. But the point is, it's going to be tough. And if Marcus Rojo really is exhausted, I think this is the time maybe we can sort of, as ironic as it is, considering that we are missing a lot of players, we need to make sure we don't risk our chances of forcing these guys to play games and taking injuries.
Barry, what do you reckon? Is there any banana gate here going on, do you think? Is John's conspiracy holding water for you?
I have to say the nutritional value of one banana is probably not going to keep a Premier League player playing at his best for more than a minute or two. So a strange one that, although, if you watch the professional tennis players, they consume a lot of bananas in between games. So there's obviously a nutritional side to it. But I think that this could well be some sort of a mind game and some sort of distraction. But Rojo looks tired. And speaking of him, he's played a lot of games lately. So wouldn't surprise me to see him being rested. And of course, anything that United do is big news, So I would imagine probably by this evening, the banana will be the most commonly consumed fruit on a worldwide basis.
Right, lads, Middlesbrough then. What can you tell me about this Middlesbrough side? Obviously, they've just lost Karanka, but apart from that, what do they have to offer us and what do we need to look out for? Barry? All right. Yeah,
well... I'll go ahead. To be honest with you, I haven't watched Middlesbrough playing all that much this season. But of course, they've got Valdez in goals, so they've got a competent keeper, although I know Guzan has been playing in the cup games. They've got in Traore, I think, a very good player, and probably the guy that we have to watch most carefully. But Middlesbrough haven't been scoring many goals, and they've been leaking a lot of goals. United haven't been scoring many goals, but we haven't been leaking many. And I think that whatever strike force we put in, we're capable of giving a good account of ourselves. So the only individual player that really concerns me in that team is Traore, probably. But my biggest concern, as I say, is will they suddenly become galvanized into a team fighting for their lives under new managership? That could pose us some problems.
It seems to happen quite often, doesn't it? John, are we going to be looking at Real Middlesbrough Lona come Sunday?
The logical we would sit here and say we are not going to have that much trouble, considering the fact that Middlesbrough are having a real lack of options in defense. They have Caleb Chambers, who's doubtful. George Friend is doubtful. Ayala is also out. But considering how this season's been going so far, who knows? Maybe Valdez might have another world-beating performance. Who knows? Negredo, who knows? Who hasn't been scoring goals at all, might come out here with a goal. And I think Traore, like Barry said, probably is only the real threat. Maybe Stuart Downing getting a game and coming out, maybe having a decent performance, but I can't really see them having the potential or the capabilities to be able to hold up our forwards, especially if you have Rashford and Martial just piercing through the middle and to the left, really forcing their backline to be under pressure. I think it'll be a little bit too much for Middlesbrough players to handle.
What's your score prediction?
I'm going 2-0 to United. I think we're going to keep a clean sheet here.
All right, Barry, what's your score prediction?
2-1 to United.
Both of you going for wins. Do you know what? I think Mourinho probably wasn't just all mind games when he said in his press conference after Rostov that we're going to lose this game. I don't think we're going to lose this game, but I'm going to say we're going to drop points again. I'm going to say it's 1-1 this one. Maybe I'm just feathering my nest a little bit so I'm not so hurt if it happens, and hopefully it'll be a win. I don't know, but I think 1-1 for that. Anyway, that will do us for this week. You guys get your comments in below. What score do you think it's going to be? Who's going to be the most important man for us? Who's going to play up front? Are we going to see a rotated defence? Who's going to come into midfield instead of Pogba and Herrera? All of these questions, you guys can give us the answers. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching. Give these guys a follow on Twitter, and we'll see you later.